Could people get closer if they feel comfortable? It would be great to see you all closer, and it's easier to get more pictures of more people if you're all closer. Thank you so much. Everyone can hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, strap in. It's great to see so many folks out today. Honestly, like seeing how hazy it was yesterday, I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to see you today. So it's encouraging that we have at least some clear skies for once. But to be honest, the sense of deja vu here feels a little bit appalling. We've been here before. We've met outside the same office, with the same message, with the same demands. What's new is that every year, we find just how much faster the situation is worsening. As I speak, over 6 million hectares of land have burned across the country. We've surpassed the records on wildfire season, and it's not even July yet. Give it a few days. What's worse is that on the days where we're not choking back particulate matter, it feels like we're combating record rainfalls and flooding. Nothing is predictable anymore. Exactly a year ago, we met here to remember the hundreds of dead in British Columbia and Alberta during 2021's atrocious heat dome. In September of 2021, we rallied in response to more fires and in demand of action on climate. Every time, we hear from more and more Albertans that they are worried about climate change and that they want more action. So far, we've heard the same response from our leaders, which is an equivalent to thoughts and prayers. They want us to believe that they're climate leaders, but we know better. Do you get to call yourself a climate leader when you spend $30 billion on an unbuilt pipeline that gets more expensive every year and that will never get to pay off?
No!
Do you get to call yourself a climate leader when you give out billions of dollars in tax breaks and subsidies to wealthy fossil fuel executives every year?
No!
And do you get to call yourself a climate leader when you proudly host board meetings for those very same executives, as 2 federal ministers did today for Shell?
No!
And that's just our federal government. So what does a climate leader do? A climate leader spends what it takes to win. We're told that spending on climate action would be too costly. But you know what's costly? Losing millions of hectares, hundreds of homes, and billions of dollars to fires, heat waves, floods, hail, and more extreme weather. The money doesn't matter if climate change rolls us over. That means divesting the billions of dollars we give to the ultra-wealthy fossil fuel CEOs who don't need our help, and instead invest that money where it matters, such as our healthcare system, long-term care, our education system, post-secondary, or public services. And of course, it means investing that money into good, green work for the hundreds of thousands of workers in this province who deserve fair wages, benefits, and a pension, and a future to actually use that pension in. That's something this government can do starting now. Instead, they've chosen to make a plan to figure it out in 2025.
Shame!
Right now, they're actually just spending those billions on unproven climate solutions like carbon capture. Why? So wealthy CEOs can keep making money as we suffer hotter summers. Can I get a shame?
Shame!
Good, you're all getting your practice in. A climate leader hinges their plans on emissions reduction and climate change mitigation rather than emergency readiness, resilience, and adaptation. Yes, we need those last 3, but leaders are now skipping steps 1 and 2 while they continue to add literal fuel to the fire. People in this province need hope, not excuses, and we deserve a guarantee that we will get our summers back rather than accepting that this is what we get to live with now. Because people like Randy Boissonnault, Justin Trudeau, or Danielle Smith can retreat to their offices with AC and air filtration, whereas we just have to live with what they get to ignore.
Shame!
Last, a climate leader invests in the rural and indigenous communities who are on the front lines of wildfires and of the dependence on fossil fuel expansion. That means investing big in rural infrastructure to create good paying work and keep families safe. It means working with indigenous communities so they can create transition plans that work for them. And it means giving those same Indigenous communities free, prior, and informed consent on the future of energy and mineral decisions. And task. Talk to your friends. Talk to your families. And honestly, talk to strangers. Don't allow yourself to become desensitized to the crisis around us, because this is the best time for us to paint a picture of what's possible. This is when people are most prepared to talk about climate action, when most people are ready to talk about climate change, and what a real and fair energy transition can mean for them and their families. If you're scared and nervous by being consistently blanketed in smoke, odds are your neighbors are too. If you're angry, frustrated, and confused about a government that tells us that it's an emergency but fails to act like it, odds are your coworkers are too. It's time for an end to phony climate action, and it's time for an end to the phony climate action of this federal government. Who here is a constituent in this riding? Okay, that's great. It's a good mix. Ministers like Randy Boissonnault, who serve as Associate Finance Minister, can put their money where their mouth is and ensure we get a real just transition that accelerates our emissions reductions and leave no one behind. This is a minister who won by less than 600 votes in a three-way race in 2021. So our message to Randy Boissonnault is clear. Edmontonians want real action on climate change.
Yes.
We want mitigation, we want emissions reduction, and we want a just transition that makes sure that people don't just fall through the cracks. And we want it now. And we want to make sure that our fate isn't just left in the hands of the market. So, again, our message to Randy Boissonnault is, you can either get behind us or you can get out of our way.
What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
That's right. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Bradley Fortune. I'm here on behalf of PIA, and I'm so happy to be here. And I also don't think that we should have to be here. Politicians like Randy Boissonnault, Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, and the Liberal government of Canada have been giving lip service to climate action for far too long, but they've been delaying every step of the way. I will hold the mic closer. Thank you, Laura. Laura is telling me to hold the mic closer. That's good. This is something, as one said, that we have been screaming and yelling about for too many years now to no avail, and I'm so happy to see so many people out here today, because we really do hold the power to hold these politicians to account. I don't like having to close my windows when I go to sleep at night and my daughter's in the other room because she can't breathe the air, but it's too hot inside of our bedroom. I don't like seeing people and my houseless neighbors on the street with nowhere to go who can't breathe the air in Edmonton, Alberta in 2023. It breaks my fucking heart, and it's wrong, and it needs to end. We need climate action now. Delay equals disaster. And we need to make sure that we're coming together as individuals and organizations to demand better from our politicians. You know, one thing that I have been hearing so much since the provincial election happened is that people are feeling frustrated and tired, but they're also feeling hopeful. And today, I want to remind you all that we hold the power to hold these politicians to account. They're not going to save us. We're going to save ourselves, and we're going to demand climate action in a real way that will actually result in a just transition for workers, for our neighbors, for the houseless community, and for everyone here in Alberta and across Canada, and we need it now. Public Interest Alberta has been focusing on housing as a major issue for the last couple of years. And you know what? It's been really hard to get people to pay attention to it as a major issue. But I'm so hopeful, because housing is a human right. Climate justice, breathable air is a human right. And there's so much overlap between these issues. And I think together that we can build real community power to make sure that we're demanding action now from Randy Boissonnault and politicians like the Liberal Party of Canada. Because quite frankly, they're not taking this issue seriously. They haven't been taking this issue seriously for a long time. And I think I'm just gonna leave off by saying that we need to do three things. we need to do 3 things. We need to stop the sweeps. When you see an encampment in your neighborhood, those folks who are living in tents are your neighbors. They're our neighbors. And they have nowhere else to go. As Juan said, they can't go inside and enjoy air conditioning like Randy. They can't have filtered air like Randy and other politicians. So we need to stop the sweeps. We need to build housing now, social, affordable, adequate housing. And that means housing that is protecting people from the worst of the climate crisis right here in our backyard. And we also need climate action now. So what I want you to do is one thing. I want you today, if you haven't already, I assume you're on the list, 350, CJE, PIA, but if you're not, sign up for one of those organizations and write to your MP, write to Randy Boissonnault and say that you demand climate action now, because the housing crisis is the climate crisis and the climate crisis is a housing crisis. And we need to come together to demand action now, because delay is equaling disaster, and it's happening right now. We are living in the disaster right now, and it's up to all of us to turn that around. So thank you all. Keep up the fight. You're amazing, and
Summit.
come to our summit. Thank you, Emma. We have a summit coming up. PIA is partnering with CJE, Friends of Medicare, and community members from across the province at McDougall United Church on July 8th, on Saturday, from 10 to 4 p.m. We're going to do skills building. We're going to talk a little bit about the provincial election, but not too much because that's in the rearview mirror. But we're going to look forward to how we can act together on decent homes for all, climate action, public services, fair taxation, and making sure that we can build a future that we believe in. So come. Thank you.